Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. It is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. I am Jer Stays, and joining me is the most excellent, the most fabulous, and the most yet another year, because it's your birthday like this week, Fletcher Sharp. Happy birthday, old friend.
Yeah, emphasis on the old, unfortunately.
Oh, listen, I am 10 years older than you. You don't get to pull any of these old cards on me, buddy.
Oh, I pulled my back this weekend, so I'll pull that. I was playing softball and I batting practice, and I threw like 8 or 9 batters, and I felt the twinge in my back. And my friend was looking at my back. It was like, yeah, it's this. And she's a physical therapist, and she's like, well, maybe it's a slip disc or something. Maybe it's just overexertion. And I was like, I only threw 8 batters. And she's like, well, and I was like, I don't like the way that sounded. Fix your tone and tell me that again. I don't like the well sounds like, well, it just might be your life now. And I don't want to hear that. But I have realized at the age I'm currently at, a lot of professional athletes are looking at branding deals to retire. So maybe should parlay these rec skills into some low-level beef jerky or something.
Listen, if you are a local beef jerky or other sort of company and you would like to sponsor Fletcher as a rec league athlete, I think America's rec league athlete NIL deals could just blow up. And I'm all for this Fletcher Sharp. Though I will say, when my dad got older, he would always say that him feeling a little bit of pain reminded him that he was alive. And he said that in his 60s. So
I'm very much alive.
Well, let's get into some stories around town that I think we should talk about. At a recent Free Press Breakfast Club event, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan said the Detroit Auto Show should court none other than Tesla. Other ideas that came up, and I kind of like this one. He says, quote, I think they should close down streets around Huntington Place where the show is held and offer people rides there in new vehicles. I'll link to the story in the Free Press. 2 things, real talk. They should have done the whole close the streets right around thing when they were thinking about doing it in warmer weather, number 1. Number 2, I mean, this is a show put together by auto dealers. Tesla doesn't have auto dealers. I don't know, man. Like, I of course want every brand to be here. In a perfect world, I want to see us compete. You know, Shanghai has taken a lot of the energy with cars and the auto show. I've got some people I know going to the Shanghai Auto Show. I'd love to see every brand and every futuristic thing possible. But I also know that in this climate right now, I don't know if this is the best choice.
Yeah, to the first point, closing off a lot of the area around Huntington Place and then picking people up in like some of the newer, that's a great idea. It's a great way where if maybe, I know that it's a huge area, there's a bunch of space, but sometimes you go to events there and maybe you still miss something small. Maybe you miss the new Hyundai, maybe you miss the new Ford, maybe you miss something. If you get, picked up from I'm sure there would be like some super car nerd who's like taking 15 rides back and forth between where the cars are. Like, I'm going to test every single car. It's like, oh, I've already been in this one. I'll wait for the next one. And like, that's a cool idea. It lets people actually get a chance to like be inside of these cars and test them themselves from a standpoint of being a passenger. Like, no, you won't get to test it as a driver, but you get the feel of it to a degree as being a passenger in the front seat or the back seat or something like that. But to the other much more looming point, them courting Tesla for this event was purely just for the company and purely just about the company. I am all for it because whether you like the company or not, they have done a few innovative things with cars before the Cybertruck, a few innovative things that like you would maybe only see in a movie or a futuristic cop show or something. And like they have a few of those features in cars. That's pretty great. But if you take the whole picture, because very rarely is anything involving Tesla, not the whole thing, I don't know if this is the best thing to do right now.
I mean, for me, I would listen to economic development people say that, oh, we're going to get a Tesla plant in Michigan or whatever. I'm like, what were you thinking? I understand that when you get funded by nonprofits and you got to play the the neutral rules and everything in this town. And listen, this town is full of people who play by neutral rules. They're full of people who will say very both-sidey statements. But anybody who thought that like Tesla's going to open up a plant in Detroit, which is some of the things that I heard a few years ago, I don't know what planet they were living on, because that just wasn't going to happen. But that doesn't mean that Tesla shouldn't be at the show. That doesn't mean other brands shouldn't be at the show. It's just that that brand is now inextricably Musk. They're one and the same. I was listening to some analysts on Bloomberg that the brand is tied together, and that's part of what's affecting their sales. And so I don't. The thing is it's like inviting your uncle. And when you have a cousin that like throws the holiday party and they invite your uncle that's just not great vibes. The thing is that you can say it's a neutral ground and everything like that, but your uncle is still going to say something terrible about you.
Yeah, we had a neighbor at our old place. I will not name him, but like he was a nice guy. But when he would drink moonshine, sometimes he'd say questionable things where it's like, yo, if you want to show up, you can't have moonshine. And he's like, well, if I can't have moonshine, I'm not going to show up. And we're like, okay. Then he'd sneak his way into the event, moonshine in hand. And it's like, all right, we got to go. Event's over. We got to stop. And again, like this is not a political take from me at any point at all. But if it was just Tesla, just the brand Tesla, just the company Tesla, and they were there to present their automobiles and their work for the future and how they're going to innovatively impact the auto industry, I am all ears. But if it's anything else outside of that, which it definitely will be, I don't think that that's the right. It's politicizing an event that's supposed to be for everybody. And like, I don't think that that's the best thing going forward for a quote unquote rebirth in the city of Detroit.
Nothing lasts forever. And you know that a change will make it better.
Let's talk a little transit news. The city of Detroit announced a bus service expansion effective today, a 5% overall increase, meaning 13 routes will see more frequent buses and 17 routes are to see expanded service hours on weekends. This is all according to press materials that I got from the Detroit Department of Transportation this morning. This is in large part thanks to a $20 million increase in DDOT's budget, and that money will go towards more maintenance, mechanics, and bus stop staff. Additionally, another $2.7 million is for more shelters and benches across the city. You know, the stops, the shelters, the benches is something that I have heard a lot of complaints from riders in recent years, Fletcher Sharp.
Yeah, if you're going to expand the buses and have more buses running, like I wish Detroit could be the city where like the weather is always perfect, but it very much isn't. Part of the day could be, 70 and sunny. The next hour later, it could be hail, could be swampy rain, whatever could be falling. So like having areas where people who are waiting for public transit can like be protected from the elements and at least feel, that's great. Like this is all like great things for public transit, because not just fixing up the buses and making sure they run better, they have better facilities, but like making sure the people who take them feel safe and secure while waiting for these public, especially when the city's trying to do its best to have people come not just to downtown, but around the areas of downtown. Like you need public transit so if people feel comfortable and safe and secure inside there waiting for it, I am all for it. I think this is a great, great thing going forward in the city.
A little local politics news, and this is according to Sam Robinson's Detroit 1 Million.
Shouts out to Sam.
This posted on Monday. I'm going to greatly shrink it down, but it's something you should consider subscribing to if you're really into this stuff. Gabriela Santiago Romero has been trying to run to be reelected in District 6 of the city, that's Southwest Detroit, allegedly failed to pay fees associated with her campaign committee. That is what Daniel Baxter, the chief operating officer of the city's election department, told Sam. Santiago Romero will need intervention from the Third Circuit Court for her name to appear on the ballot. Look, I'm not here to dunk on anyone specifically, but I want to highlight Fletcher Sharp, that this is a wider trend. We saw Adam Allier not have things in order. We've seen other candidates just miss some basics. And it reminds me of the importance of having like a good campaign team around you, even if unpaid, or somebody that's like, hey, handles these details, because the details matter. I don't want to make it like generational because I don't think that's fair, but it is crucial that these things get handled or else you could get booted off the ballot. Now, this is all allegedly. Apparently, the Santiago Romero is saying that the court didn't transmit the thing to the city or some technicality, which if true, the courts will probably fix that. But it's just important to get these details together.
Yeah, whether it's a clerical error or not, like really only applies specifically to her and her campaign. But like the general overarching is like double check. Like you're going to turn the paper, make sure you cross your T's, dot your I's, put your umlauts where they're supposed to be. Because having this go through and then them being like, actually, the funds are not funding the way they're supposed to, it now becomes a thing for every single person. And even if they do go back and fix it, like it is a clerical error, this still follows you. And it's not directly her fault. It's not like we're pointing and saying this is on you. You did this, GSR. It's on you. No, it's probably someone on the team, if it's not a clerical error, who maybe thought something had gone through and it hadn't, and vice versa. But it happening more frequently is not good. It's not good for local politics because there are people who could do some really great things. And if you're not going to make sure all of your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, things are in the right place before, maybe you shouldn't be in charge of an area right now. Hopefully it gets fixed the way it's supposed to, and the primary can continue forward the way it's supposed to.
Fletcher Sharp, I've got to ask your opinion on this one. It's a little early to be talking about the Lions, but I want to spend a minute on it because Jameson Williams is a player that Detroiters have really identified with, and he's just kind of part of the squad in a big way for a lot of folks. But a recent Sports Illustrated piece says that it's very possible that Williams could be traded. Now, for context, in case you don't know, he's got 2 years left on his deal. That fifth year is an option, which would be a lot of money, pretty clearly. Wide receivers are now a hot commodity in the NFL. The Lions have more and more bills to pay at an ever-shrinking window, I would say the next couple of years, to use this class to win a Super Bowl. I'm torn on this one. I can see it both ways, but it'd have to be a lot to trade for Jameson Williams because he's so effective on the field. But what do you think?
I think there's maybe a 30% chance. I saw the Buffalo Bills like projected. Obviously, this is not anything that's in concrete, but someone's like the Bills have sketched out a deal that they get Jameson Williams, the Lions get a 3rd round draft pick. And I was like, no. If that's the deal, no. If it's for a 1st round draft pick for Jameson, okay. I understand that. I might even be okay with that. But anything under a 1st round pick or a player of similar caliber, no. I understand that Jameson's had some issues off the field. I understand at times his play on the field has been a little inconsistent. But he's a home run hitter, and he definitely factors into the Lions' offense being explosive. One of the most explosive players in the NFL, even in limited action as much last year and the year before. So if you're going to get rid of a weapon like that, you have to get something back that matters. And in my opinion, if they trade him for less than a 1st round pick or a player that's like of equal talent or maybe a bit more, forget that window. They're closing the window themselves.
Really?
So I think unless you're getting something back that's like value that really is of similar need, you got to keep him. And it stinks because Antoine Randall going to the Bears was like a really good proponent and helping to keep him in check, especially last year. So losing someone like that kind of makes things a little bit rockier. I do think other contenders, it shows you the value. Like the Buffalo Bills are a good team. The Lions saw them up close, saw Josh Allen, MVP Josh Allen, who torched the Lions defense without a receiver like Jameson Williams. You can imagine what would happen if he got his hands on a weapon like that. So it would hurt less because he's going to the AFC as opposed to staying in the NFC. But unless someone's trading a first round pick, and if it's a team within the NFC North, like, you need to do more than just a first round pick.
Well, I want to know what you all think. 313-789-3211 on the voicemail. We may play it on the air, or dailydetroit@gmail.com. Also, thank you so much to our members on Patreon, patreon.com/dailydetroit. Our member-only Discord, swag, all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you so much for supporting us. You are the absolute best. For today, I'm Jer Stays, and Fletcher Sharp, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, thank you. In all seriousness, it's nice to get old, even if people say awkward things to you about it. My father was like, you're the same age I was when we had you. And I was like, yeah, I'm not having a child. But thank you. Thank you for that. That's going to stick with me. You told me this at 1 a.m, so it's going to stick with me for the entire day. But thank you. I appreciate that thought. So, yeah, just a day to wake up in this metropolitan area. I get to go out and do stuff. Is always something you want. So another day of that, another 65 days, I'll gladly take it.
Well, friends, remember that you are somebody. Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit, and we'll talk tomorrow.